Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tirra-Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. Today, I would like to talk to you all about a series that I'm doing. I've been wanting to do this for a while. It is on the concept of self-mastery. It's something that was taught to me by one of my godparents, Baba G. Colioso. And I feel that it's foundational to what I have or what I do, how I operate. I got to turn this fan off. I had meant to turn it off before I got on, and it will drive me crazy wondering if y'all can hear it. But anywho, self-realization or self-mastery, these 4 keys to self-mastery that I want to share with you today have been foundational to me growing and evolving. Because when I engage these keys to self-mastery, what they do for me is they give me a framework within which to operate. When I feel like I'm moving away from my center, they give me a way to bring myself back so that I'm on the straight and narrow. You know, it helps me to not be so wayward. And so what I tell people is self-realization is the ultimate in life. When you know who you are and you operate from that truth, you're unstoppable. You know, life may not be perfect, but you'll have the perspective to make the best of whatever's handed to you in life. You won't be operating from any victimization story that has been given to you. And it's just a good spot. I mean, anyone who's done any level of self-realization, because there's levels, you know, some people may just do one great awakening, but the majority, I think, tend to have these periods. And this is one of the things I've learned through astrology. We have these periods that allow us to, it's like we pop our head out of where we were and we look around like, oh, why am I acting like this? Why am I doing this? Or I have a whole new perspective. And so, you know, when we know who we are and we operate from that place, you know, just from these many awakenings that you've had, MINI awakenings that you've had, how amazing it feels. You feel liberated, you feel free, right? And so, you know, that to me is Shango Haru. That's what Shango Haru teaches. Is you've got to address your conditionings so that you can get free and actually operate from your creative genius. You know, that part of you that is that shining star, right? So we're here to know the truth of who and what we are. And we are here to master ourselves. Self-mastery, self-realization. That's what I'm all about. I know, you know, I talk about the goddess because this is a tradition that I am initiated into. I talk about metaphysics. I talk about African traditional spirituality, in particular Ifa, as well as the Kemetic tradition that I've learned through the Metunetter. So I talk about all of that, but all of those have been paths to self-realization and self-mastery. And so I want to talk to you about these powerhouse tools. These are, to me, if you really, you know, if you really and truly want to make inroads, people are always like really trying to find out from me, what is it that I need to do? Well, I'm getting ready to tell you 4 keys that you need to do. And let me start off with giving you those 4 keys. They are awareness, devotion, ritual, and faith. All of these taught to me by Baba G. Colioso. And so today in this video, I will talk to you about awareness. Of all the keys, I think awareness is the one that is, woo, it's hard to say which one is most important, but awareness is tantamount to getting liberated, to getting free, to figuring out what you want to figure out. You know, you want to know who are the Orisha. You want to work with the goddess. Well, guess what? After a while, if you walk aware, you'll realize the Orisha are with you every step of the way. Just about everybody I know, after a while, will begin to walk in the sea of the Orisha, because the Orisha are consciousness, their energy, their wisdom. Of course, physically, they're forces of nature, and they're within us. It's like we can find the Orisha within us. We can access the wisdom within us. The issue is that so many of us have not been taught that any of this is true, that we haven't been taught the truth of who and what we are. And so we're essentially blind to all of what we say we want. Even though we can feel it, we can sense it, we know, it's like, oh, I just know it's there. I hear it calling me. I remember being that way. I was like 7, and I'm like, aren't the elders supposed to tell us what we're supposed to do? Like the ancestors. I even went to my mama, like, tell me what the ancestors are telling you. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I always would say, like, I just don't believe there's a hell, or I want to know, what did my ancestors do before they were brought into slavery? This is how I taught. This is how I talked throughout my childhood into my early adulthood, until I actually finally found Ifa. I was raised in Mississippi, limited exposure to people who did spiritual things that were different from Christianity. As a matter of fact, I was a part of the wacko Christianity. I was raised Catholic, in Mississippi. So that's very taboo back then. So yeah, I didn't have exposure. It took me a while to figure it out, but I always could I could hear that call. I knew, I knew, I knew. There's something. I just don't know what it is. And so we're blind to it, although we can sense it. And so when you say, you know what, I'm putting my foot firmly on the path. And this is why many of us want to, switch to some spiritual system, some new spiritual system, work with the Orisha, the ancestors, initiate into some African spiritual tradition, initiate into the goddess tradition, whatever, all the Eastern traditions. This is why we do it. Because it's like, you know what? I'm making a commitment to put my foot firmly on the path, to answer whatever this is, to figure out who I really am and what my purpose is in life. So when we set our feet firmly on the path, the first thing you need to do is begin to work with awareness. This is a power tool. We're in the energy of Capricorn this year. The new moon in 2019 is Capricorn. Anytime we're working with, if we're in any season of Capricorn, the moon is in Capricorn, a planet is in Capricorn, you're being given the opportunity of self-mastery. Wherever Saturn is, this video may be seen 100 years from 2019. It might be 2119. Saturn may be wherever it isn't right now. It's someplace other than where it is right now. Wherever Saturn is, it's giving you an opportunity to be a master, okay? And so we're opening ourselves to self-mastery day by day by day. And the first key that you must work with to really get to self-mastery is called awareness. Commit to opening yourself to know the truth. That was the first thing I did. I said, you know what? I cannot deny whatever's calling me. This thing is eating at me. I have tried to deny that it's there so that, because I don't want to be making my family upset. I married into a Christian family. I mean, my father-in-law is a pastor. My husband has since become a pastor. My husband's grandfather was a pastor. Got uncles who were pastors. Mom tried true Christian, And a lot of my family is Christian, even though my family of origin, we just do whatever we want to do. We're the weirdos in the family. But I said, you know what? I have tried to fit in. I've tried to just say, no, I'm just Christian. And I was like, something's calling me. I've got to answer it. And so what I said was, I don't care what the truth is. All I want to know is the truth. It don't have to be what I want it to be. What I think is going to make me comfortable and not stand out and have people be like, why are you like that? You know you're going to go to hell. You know, even some Muslims, I've talked to them and they're different in the United States in some parts. Oh, you know, it's like, I don't want to stand out, but if I got to stand out, just show me the truth. Well, the only way you can see the truth is through awareness. You've got to open your eyes. You've got to open your consciousness and become aware of everything that's there, of everything that's around you. Awareness of your breath, awareness of your hair and how you wear your hair and how you speak and the clothes that you wear and the people that you hang around and the job that you work, the career that you have. Be aware of all of it. Be aware of your family. Be aware of what you're looking at. Be aware of as much as you can. And when you live life with awareness, you have a curiosity. You begin to ask, why? And, you know, is there a different way? And who am I? Like, I know who I appear to be, but am I really that person? One of the energies that I love working with is Ma'at. Ma'at is a goddess and she is about the truth. And she's also about, you know, having a big vision and she's brilliant. She's smart. And so I always say, my aunt says you need to be a spiritual scientist. You have to test everything out. And this is what awareness will bring us to. It's like, okay, especially when it comes to our identity. Okay, I know who I say I am, but am I really that? And you have to begin to test it. And this is how, you know, working with the Orisha, to me, when you know even just a little bit about the Orisha and what they really bring to the table of life, this is when you can begin to say, okay, I'm going to call on this energy of that Orisha. So the energy of courage, I relate to Ogun Herokahuti. I also related to Shango, Heru. You can conjure up that energy of courage and confidence and say, I'm just going to question myself. I'm going to ask myself, why do I do what I do? Why do I hang out with who I hang out with? And who am I? And I'm going to test it all. I want to see, is there anything I can disprove? Or is there something that I can prove about myself, you know? And some people, they'll read books and might have to perhaps go into meditation and go in just inward. That's another thing about knowing the truth of who and what we are. You have to go inward and you sit and you get quiet and you allow your awareness, your consciousness to expand however you can. You know, sometimes it's not about just sitting quiet. Sometimes it might be, you know, you're outside and you're walking in silence and you're on a hike somewhere, or you're just taking a walk through the neighborhood, but you're walking in silence and you're walking in awareness, but that focus is inward to really see what's there. You know, how can I connect with this and where can I expand it? I always tell people you want to expand yourself beyond what you know yourself to be and see, is there anything beyond that? So awareness is key to mastering life. Because when we begin to walk aware, and we perhaps have a problem that has come up in our lives, awareness first of all will see the problem. Because one of the things I thought about as I was preparing is a lot of us have a blind, no, everybody has a blind spot. Astrologically, that 12th house, that's your blind spot. And so sometimes, you know, we don't even know something's wrong because whatever the problem is in our blind spot, you know? But we know something ain't right because we're not getting the results that we want in our lives. And so what awareness does is it helps us to be able to see even the direction. Even I may not even see the full on solution to the problem, but awareness will begin to allow me to go in the direction that I need to go, so that if I do have a problem, I can figure that out. Awareness is a definitive tool for helping us to solve problems. And oftentimes, awareness will lead us to understanding, well, there's some spiritual law I'm not living according to, or I'm not consciously aware. See, I'm not aware of a spiritual law. And so this law is just manifesting sort of based randomly on how I'm just sort of like using it unconsciously. But when we begin to walk aware of the laws of the universe, just how things really work, then we can say, oh, I created that problem because of lack of understanding what the laws of the universe are. Now I know what the laws of the universe are, and I'm just going to create in a different way, you know? So awareness to me is a true superpower. We might think it's working with the Orisha, but it's really awareness of the Orisha. It's really awareness of the goddess. I'll give you an example. Astrology. For the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a Pisces. And, from time to time, I'll look at some type of astrological write-up or whatever. These transits are hitting. These transits they're rolling through my life. I started getting into astrology right at 46, 47. That's how long it took for me to actually say, whoa, wait a minute. Let me start studying this because it looks like this stuff works, right? So I have actually been doing a historical, like looking at myself historically, and I'm like, so an example is I knew nothing about astrology at 27 other than I'm a Pisces. Pisces are like, whatever, the pop thing is that we say about Pisces. Little generalizations. Well, at 27, my mother died. And that is typically around the time, somewhere between 27 and 30, that a person has a Saturn return. Yes. Saturn return was hard as hell for me. Another example, I knew nothing about astrology, but astrology was in effect. It was doing its thing. At 24, I got married right at my Jupiter return. My husband got married right at his Jupiter return, So it's like when I look back, astrology was at work and in effect, and I just wasn't aware of it. And so now I'm more aware of astrology, and I actually can use it more beneficially. Doesn't mean I can like predict to exactly what's going to happen, but things don't really, it's like, oh, okay. Or using the oracles, like in these readings that I do. Oh, that's what okay, because I didn't understand what the oracle was saying when I first saw it. I mean, I saw it, but now I see it playing out. That's something I've learned about divination. Awareness is key to being a diviner or just using divination. Because sometimes you'll get a reading, you're like, that doesn't quite make sense. And then after a while, you're like, oh, okay, I got it. You see it play out, you're like, oh. But if we didn't have that reading, maybe we wouldn't realize the power of what we're seeing. When you see that, when you get that reading and you're like, but then you see it play out, it's powerful versus I didn't get the reading. I'm seeing something play out. Universe is speaking to me. but I'm not aware. Awareness is a superpower that I hope you all will begin to use. Um, I will say that, if you do want to work with an Orisha, one of the best Orisha to work with in terms of awareness would be Obatala, as well as your Ori. And it takes actually awareness because Ori is consciousness. It's the seed of consciousness. Seat, SEAT, of consciousness. And so, it takes us becoming aware of our Ori. But anywho, working with the Ori to me is like, that is the key to awareness because it's our consciousness. If you want to work with another Orisha, this would be Obatala because Obatala or Ma'at, I really said, even though faith is the fourth key that I'll talk about, that's definitely Ma'at. Awareness is Ma'at. Obatala, they have a big vision. They can see things, they can see the big picture. And they say Obatala is all about clarity and keeping a cool head so you can see things for what they really are. This is the Orisha of wisdom. So that's something I would give to you. This to me is like Amen in the Meta Netter because Amen is all about transcendence and no thingness. It's about pure potentiality. And what is that? It's consciousness. It's awareness. And I just hope that everybody can get to that point where they just feel, you can feel the consciousness of the consciousness. Things you can do to become more aware or to train yourself. It's about retraining the mind to not be in the past, to not be in the present, the future. You want to train your mind to stay in the present moment. And when you do that, it allows you to be present and in the moment because that's what you want to do. But a lot of times you got to do some brain training for most of us. And so you want to be in the moment, be present and in the moment. It brings a high level of awareness. It's one of the reasons that people who don't talk a lot know everything. I've learned if I really want to know, all I need to do is just be quiet because I'm a talker. So be present in the moment, meditation, and mindfulness. And you have to figure out the best way for you. I would say maybe you could look at your 12th house in your chart if you know astrology. That would tell you to a certain degree what would help you to get in a meditative state because the 12th house is about being quiet and it's about the unhidden and it's really sort of like a way for you to get away. That's what the 12th house speaks to. It's like, how do you get away? I like the apps, the mindfulness apps. I took a yoga training for children, and it's really mindfulness using yoga. So there's like all kinds of classes and trainings, and the mindfulness is on the rise. So I encourage you to really see if use the app. I use Simple Habit. I love Simple Habit because it has short meditations and long ones, but you may want to go to a live place and be with someone and they're leading you through some mindfulness. It's amazing. When I took that training, I was like, yeah, this is what I've been looking for, mindfulness. Let's see here. Yes, I think I've gone over all my notes. I took some notes just to make sure I covered everything. So part one of this is awareness. So I encourage you to commit to knowing the truth of who and what you are and mastering yourself. Because the more you step into self-mastery, you will be operating according to your purpose. A lot of times people want to know, what is my purpose? Well, the first thing that you've got to do is, Walk aware of who and what you are. Look at your natural gifts, look at your natural talents. Look at from whence you've come and where you feel you're being called to go. And learn new skills and whatever else, throw in a little mixture of the people that are in your life. And you'll be able to really craft something that's good. That you're like, yeah, this is who and what I am. These are the people I like hanging out with. I'm not listening to what other people tell me to do. I'm listening to me and following my inclinations. I'm going to end with this. It is let me tell you what a sin and a shame is. It is a sin and a shame that people are denied being the truth of who and what they are because somebody else doesn't like it. That is a mess. All right. And so, we have to be aware of this society, this world, and how it is, and how a lot of us are just seeking to be the truth of who and what we are. That's all we want. And the world will push back against us. If we're aware of that, it doesn't throw us by, doesn't throw us for a loop. And we'll just be able to shore up Shango, Herakahuti, and anybody else that we need to, Ogun. We'll be able to shore them up and just be like, you know what, y'all, we're moving forward with this purpose. We're moving forward with this purpose. My name is Tirra-Omilade, and I appreciate you for joining me in the first part of this series. And I look forward to seeing you in the next part. Please like the video, please share the video, and feel free to join me in my inner circle where I typically dive even more deeply than I do, where I dive even more deeply into different things like what I'm talking to you about today. That is at Patreon, patreon.com/goddess body mind spirit. And if you would like divination with me, you can go to my website, goddessbodymindspirit.com. And I just go to the spiritual readings page. I would love to divine on your behalf. Wishing you a great day of awareness of all things good, which is you. Peace.